welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm excited again to be able to offer our fall events online, as we all are still kind of social distancing and some sheltering in place types of things going on. But those of you who are new to us and may not have joined us before, give you a little background on APG, the Atlanta Photography Group. It was established in 1987 and is an artist-initiated 501c3 nonprofit membership organization, and we provide opportunities and support to the fine art community. APG is generously funded by the Lubo Fund, the City of Atlanta Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and the Georgia Council for the Arts through the appropriation of the Georgia General Assembly. The Georgia Council for the Arts also receives support from its partner agency, the National Endowment for the Arts. APG is also supported by our generous individual donors, by our membership, and also by our volunteers who help out in the gallery, from gallery sitting to installing exhibitions and a variety of other tasks. And then this evening, we have our virtual opening and juror talk, along with a few artists probably joining in with Barb Griffin, which I'm excited to see what she has to say. I think the work is really fun. There's some really fun pieces in this exhibition. And I'm going to show you a little bit. I do have a gallery installation photos. So it is up in the gallery. It actually looks really, really cool. And it's been organized kind of by subject matter. There was some specific subjects. It looks great in the gallery, so I'm excited about it. So again, some really fun stuff, from abstracts to people photos to composites to, all kinds of things. It's just really fun. Okay. And our gallery really looks pretty nice, doesn't it? It looks really great. That was all I have other than introducing Barb, and I'm so excited to have her and have her as a friend of APG. Barb and I have known each other for a little bit, and it's always been a pleasure. She's so creative. She's so much fun. She has so much energy, and she just loves photography, which we love having her as part of our group and to be involved in jury shows and critique for us, amongst a few other things. So those of you who may not know who Barb is, she's an independent creative director, producer, and photo editor whose work ranges from photo shoots and productions, exhibition curation, to fine art, photo book editing. She serves on the Advisory Council for Space for Arts, the only studio listing site built specifically for the photo community. She was recently named the President Emerita after 8 years of leadership at Atlanta Celebrates Photography, and most of you know who that is. She previously served on the board of Reimagine Atlanta, a nonprofit organization whose in-school and mobile programming serves Atlanta teens from all backgrounds, and on the Advisory Council for Atlanta Photo Night, a creative organization that hosts bi-monthly talks featuring photographers. Barb is the former Senior Vice President of Image Management for Turner Broadcasting, where she was responsible for all photography created globally for Turner's entertainment, animation, and news networks, and has an amazing network herself. She is her own network in the photo community. Okay, so thank you all for joining us. Hope to see you at future events. Keep checking our website. All of our fall events are also listed on the ACPE Festival Guide, so you can find us there for additional events. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Barb and walk her through the images.
Thank you all for being here, and thanks, Judy, for inviting me and letting me have the opportunity to juror this exhibition. It was really, really fun to see all the and see what everybody's thinking about during this. No matter what side of the fence any of us are on, the fact that we're living in strange times is in no doubt. I was very excited to see everybody's interpretation of what strange times actually were. And so, you know, when Judy asked me, first just having strange in the title was, I was already there. I'm going to do it. What's it going to be about? Strange? And I'm like, okay. But strange times, I was, you know, I really thought that was a very timely theme for an exhibition. And I can't remember when we first looked at pictures. It was quite some time ago, I believe. But I wanted to tell you kind of how I approached this. I did not know whose work any of this was. Judy gave me a folder of a couple of hundred images, and I also didn't read or didn't have available anybody's artist statement. So the way that I reacted to this work was based on the photographs and how they dovetailed with the subject matter. So I was really thinking, you know, this is probably going to be a lot about my personal reaction to these images and how it made me feel about strange times. So if anybody has any observation about a particular image, you know, please feel free to, you know, leave a note in the chat, or we can, you know, expound on that. There are some I wish I could go through everybody's work, but I know we just don't have time, but there are a few people that I want to ask some questions about their intention for their work. So we will probably, I'll probably call on some of you, so be ready. Be brave, be ready. And with that, Judy, should I be seeing like a big screen with the images on it now? Because I am not.
What are you seeing?
All I'm seeing is the, oh wait, there it is. Yep, now I got it.
Okay.
To get rid of everybody's faces.
Yeah, so it's probably hiding behind everybody.
So overarching in looking at all of the work at this point, one thing that really struck me, and this is looking at it in its entirety, which you can do on the website, is there's a lot of images that are about isolation, that are about how we're coping with the situations that we find ourselves in now, how we're visually, I think, trying to understand it, make sense of it, and experience what's going on right now. There's not a lot of images that have people. If they do have people in them, they tend to be obscured in some way, whether by a mask, as we're all used to now, or by bars or behind something. So, you know, that whole theme of isolation is kind of throughout. There's also a lot of images that have this feeling of things being closed off, of us being distanced at a time of disconnection. I was also looking for, you know, things that had some feeling of hope, which there honestly, I wouldn't say there were a lot, to be honest, so there are some lovely images in here. And things that kind of spoke to, you know, we're going to get through this. And so the other thing that struck me is how many little wonderful absurdities that people that were present in some of the photographs that really, you know, showcased how strange the times that we are in really are. Little absurdities and little oddities that were very delightful. So there's a little bit of everything. So I guess let's start with this first image. There are, I think, 3 or 4 of these.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to go through all of them, Judy, so they can see all of them?
These are the 3 from Anna Castilla-Lopez, and Anna is here. If you have any questions for her, we can unmute her.
The reason that I picked these, you know, this at the beginning, especially this whole virus idea was very nebulous. And I felt like some of these pictures had this kind of sense of a visual virus. And it also kind of spoke to this feeling of confusion in media and technology. And, you know, and also I love the vibrant color at a time when things are very desolate. And I don't know if Anna has anything to add about, you know, Anna, why did you decide to enter these images? What about these said strange times to you?
Hello. Yes, so I actually created this work. I started this work before the pandemic, and I finished this work while the pandemic was happening. So I really thought about our connection with technology and how it warps our sense of reality. That everybody's kind of living a different reality in these strange times, and how we perceive ourselves and our thoughts and merge with our relationship with technology, how much data we're consuming every day, and how much images affect our sense of what's real and what's not real, especially with all the fake news. It's kind of a lot of overstimulation, and that's what I was hoping to achieve with this color scale, this sense of there's a lot going on and it's a lot to take in at the same time. So that's kind of my representation of that.
In other words, I nailed it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I think he did a really good job because it definitely conveyed that feeling. And, you know, when I first saw those, I remember being a little like taken back. And then I was really looking at them. I was like, yeah, that really sums up in a really beautifully graphic way, I think, a lot of things that we're all feeling because of media, the virus itself, the complexity of the times that we're living in. So really good job.
Great, thanks, Anna. Thanks for joining us
Thank you.
also. Okay. All right, and let's see. Next we have Barry Love, and Barry is here also.
And this is really fun, but very sad at the same time. Haunt for 5-year-old. Clearly, it's a child's birthday, and you know, as a person who I'm sure many of us are who've had a birthday during this pandemic time, it's a very strange time to have a birthday. It's very disconnected and odd, and I think that this really spoke to it. But also this very colorful little poster that has some little effort to make some joy for a 5-year-old. I thought it was a very touching picture.
And then Barry has another one, I think. Yes, this one as well.
Yeah, again, that idea of, you know, us getting past it, but you know, we could do it, but being closed off at the same time. I think those are very nicely observed images, both of them.
Yeah.
Like the graphic quality of that one too.
Yep. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, Barry, these were fun. So I mean, I was enjoying looking at them. I agree with Barb. Nicely observed little snippets from the neighborhood. All right, so Bayata is next, and Bayata has, I think, 2 images. Yeah, 2 images in here. So
yeah, I enjoyed them both, and the first one really spoke to this sense of, you know, uncertainty and, you know, being behind a veil and kind of the fogginess. And I just thought it was kind of a lovely, mesmerizing image. The second one also felt very, I love the graphic nature of this. It's really beautiful. But again, it made me think of the virus and not knowing at the time like what that looked like, but just those, you know, the kind of softness of the greenery in the background with this very deliberate looking structured greenery in the foreground. I thought it was really beautifully composed and really interesting. Bayata, what was your thinking when entering these 2 pictures?
Well, the first one, floating, was an image I created after I'd been sheltering in place for about 2 months. And I was just coming to the realization that this pandemic was not going away anytime soon. And I was really feeling very disconnected from my old life. And at times I felt like I was floating above, kind of looking down, watching someone else's life unfold. And everything just seemed off kilter. So that was taken with that in mind. And then the second one, I took quite a bit later in August. Our family was starting to venture out on the weekends into nature. And I saw these lily pads, and I thought they were beautiful, but also strange. To me, it was really unusual that there was nothing else entangled up. You know, usually with lily pads, there's a lot of debris and stuff surrounding them. So it spoke to me also of loneliness. You know, each lily pad is kind of isolated, tethered very precariously to the longer vine. So that's what I was thinking when I was photographing this particular image.
Really got a beautiful graphics. It's about it up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. All right, great. Thanks, Bayata. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, wrong way. There we go. And then we have Becky Wilkes, who is making chocolate chip cookies while she's here. And she has a few images in the exhibition. So I'll let Barb talk about them and I'll show them, and then we can, I guess, chat with Becky as well.
Yeah, I was really intrigued by this little figure and all of these. Especially, I loved the fact that they look like they're made from debris, and that there's something like these little post-apocalyptic figures straight out of, you know, a Pixar movie. I thought they were completely charming and interesting. And, you know, at the time I was thinking a lot about what kind of art we make when we are not able to be out in the world making art. And I thought these were a really neat solution. When you can't be around people, the fact that these personified people was also kind of fun to me. So I don't know, I really enjoyed all of them. I don't know if you want to, is it Becky? I'm sorry.
Becky.
Becky. It is. Yeah. Do you want to just give us a little brief background?
Well, I do have chocolate chip cookies that are going to be beeping in 50 seconds, so I'll be brief. I have been collecting trash for the last 5 years and photographing it pre-COVID, but I photograph it, you know, as I find it, but then also in isolation, and then I play with it. And these baguettes, as I like to call them, they all have that bag structure as part of their body. They're kind of like a ghostly something or another. And I had actually played with them prior to the show, and I just thought, well, the StrangeTime seems like a great time to throw them out there. So
yes, it definitely is. And you know, I don't want to keep you from your cookies, but thank you for submitting these. They're very charming.
well, thank you. I have a lot of fun playing with trash. That's all I could say.
She does. She has a lot of great images. And then this one is also Becky's as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that one is open to so much interpretation, and I think it kind of speaks for itself in a lot of ways, and especially this week. So I don't think I can need to elaborate on that. I think everybody can draw their own conclusion about this image. It's very it's very sad image to me.
Yeah.
But
sadly, it's not a staged image. It was one of the things that I found when I was searching for debris along the lakefront where I live, and it does speak to the tumult, I guess, that we experience. No matter how you view the political views of the country, it's like our whole democracy is just, it's underwater, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't do anything except capture the image.
Mhm.
So
What's that quote about if you're out in the world, the photographs will gift themselves to you?
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Great. Thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
It's always fun to see your work.
Thank you.
And then we have Beth Hershaft, who is not with us.
Mhm.
So if you want to say anything about that, Barb, there's a few people who have not joined us. So, okay.
it just definitely has that kind of, end times feeling about it, that kind of Mad Max post-apocalyptic feeling that I think is, with climate change and politics and craziness that, it has that end times kind of feeling, and which is very powerful, also very sad. It's a beautiful image too.
Yeah.
Really well done. So that was my thinking of why I selected that.
Yeah. And then we have our very own Beth Lilly, and she has 3 images in the exhibition. Okay.
Beth's, I'm always a big fan of Beth's work. And I think a lot of her work could fall under.
My life could fall under the title StrangeTime.
Very old friend, so I can get away with saying that. But these images spoke to me again about what's that we're moving towards something we don't know what it is, and we're rushing by, and life's passing us by, and life's happening. This also, of course, has that light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. There's another couple of images further on that also do as well. Beth, what was your thoughts when you were submitting this work?
Well, when COVID first hit, I just was not feeling anything creative, but I started going through a work that I was really active shooting, and it was all photographed on the interstate. And I was intrigued again. I was like, that would be a great project to go back to, because I felt with a couple of years having passed, I had a better idea about what it was and what I wanted to do. And it's about isolation, and that feeling I have when I'm driving on the interstate. I always wanted to make a road film, and this was my road film about this kind of American propensity to just keep moving when life turns south, just hit the road and move on to the next town. Before I'd focused on the people, but this time around I've been focusing on the space. So I'm shooting from a moving car using a remote, and what I liked about it was some things appeared to stand still, some things that are close to the camera really whoosh by, and it's familiar but very, very different, which echoed how I was feeling about this time. All the structures, the system's there, but it just but it's different.
Right. It definitely feels isolation and lonely, especially being out on the highway where there are other people, but you don't have a sense of anyone being present.
Yeah, there's no connection.
Right. You're going, but you're going nowhere. I think these are really strong images.
Yeah. And I do want to say, it's like Beth printed them on a Kozo paper, which is this really beautiful kind of parchmenty. Tell us about the paper, Beth, because that adds to the mystery of these images, is seeing how they're actually printed in this case.
Yeah, Kozo is a paper that comes out of Japan, and it's traditionally used for sumi ink drawings. It's made from the mulberry plant.
Okay.
Even though some people call it rice paper. I've been working with it on and off for years. Way back in the day, I used to coat it with liquid light and print on it. And it's really familiar. It was used for landscapes. These, you know, it'd be black ink and washes on the paper. I like the way when you print with it, it softens it a little bit when you go through the inkjet printer. When it's mounted, there's this kind of depth because it's on the paper, but the paper is slightly translucent, so it kind of, there's a little bit where it's off, you know, from the backing, and it definitely, because it's very thin and light, gives it this ethereal quality that I wanted.
It especially works in that very first one. Really beautiful.
Thank you.
Great. Great. Thanks, Beth, for joining us. And those of you who can come by, you really should come by the gallery and see some of the prints. They really are lovely. And then we have Carolyn Hollingsworth. She is with us. Okay. And Carolyn has 3 images in the exhibition as well.
I really, really enjoyed these. You know, they are, they're dreamlike to me. They are abstract. They're as confused as thoughts and dreams are. And again, you know, it just spoke to me of, you know, trying to figure out the times that we're in. And, you know, I don't know, I just thought they were really lovely. Carolyn, do you want to talk about your thought behind these and why you felt like they should be submitted to Strange Times?
Well, I think they're just very much a reflection, and certainly to me, they're very much a reflection of these strange times. I hadn't been taking any pictures for several months. I just couldn't bring myself to pick up my, you know, my good camera, my big camera, and take anything. And then these are shadows in my little backyard in the middle of the night. And I'd actually been seeing them for all those months, but it was only just a few days before the call for entries deadline that I started seeing them. You know, they've been there, I just didn't see them. And I've just gotten fascinated with them. They're very often when my little dog needs to go out in the middle of the night. And so I'm standing around, you know, telling her, go ahead, go, do it, get it done, you know, that sort of thing. And then I would look around and just see these dream-like figures, many of them sort of nightmare figures, like the one that's on the screen now. I see sort of pterodactyls flying around, you know, and then this, you know, off in the distance, you know, again, like you were talking about with Beth, it's going somewhere, but we don't know where. And I think they're just reflections of, or expressions of it, that what I was seeing them in them was my own subconscious.
Right.
And the suggestion, this one, the plague mask, that was actually the first one that just really grabbed my attention. And I had to just look again to see, is it really there? Is that plague mask really just sitting here in my little backyard, you know, laughing at me or commenting or being foreboding? So I've just gotten very interested in them. These were some of the very first that I took. They're still some of my favorites, but I've now gotten very interested. And so just about every time the dog needs to go outside, I've got my cell phone with me and I take pictures.
Watch it.
And that part feels really good.
You know, so I did not know they were taken at night, but it makes complete sense. And that even makes them them feel more interesting to me. It's also, I think a lot of people are who are typically shooting outside or shooting people or, going to events or photographing, have kind of had this feeling of being bereft of like, I'm in my house, everything is familiar, what do I shoot? And so kudos to you for looking a little deeper and, finding some mystery in your own backyard. I think these are really interesting and
Well, thank you.
Great. All right, great. Thanks, Caroline.
Oh, well, thank you.
All right, and then we have Chip Standifer's image.
I generally, when I was looking through this work, there was a lot of pictures of nature and animals and, and I really kind of steered away from things that were kind of literal, except in one or two cases. And, this vegetation I thought was so interesting because it was this really weird anthropomorphic kind of figure. And it was kind of beautiful. It was like beautifully photographed and kind of really interesting. So that was my thinking. I think it's well composed and beautifully printed, but it's kind of very fun to look at too and try to figure it out. Really fun image, Chip.
Yep.
Thanks.
What is that? He's here somewhere.
Yep.
Maybe not.
I'm here.
Okay. There you are.
Judy was just asking, what is that?
Oh, well, they're poppies. It's a photo I took last year. It was a strange day, if not exactly like this. I was shooting my camera and discovered I ran out of batteries and my battery charger died, and I was in London and I had to go find a battery charger. So I found myself in a strange little park that was really intensely landscaped walking back. And so this just immediately appeared to me. And I saw it like this. I didn't really, all I've done to the image is given it a little bit more contrast.
It does look like a little body in there, a little person.
Right, or something.
Yep. Cool, thanks. All right, and then we have Chris Anderson. All right, and Chris, is he here? He was going to join us. Maybe he didn't make it. I don't see him here.
Did Chris have more than one image, or is it just that?
Yeah, he does. He has a few images that are very untypical of what he normally photographs. So I'll look through, I'll show you his. I think he has, yeah. I think he has 4 images.
I wish he was here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought these are really interesting. The ones with the hands, it also it gave me the feeling of like the zombie apocalypse, how all the zombies are at the window and trying to get in. But it also is this thing of, I just love the hands and hands together. And, at a time when we're all apart. I'm not sure, I'd love to hear more from him about what that's from, but I'm not sure if it's something that is a little, feels a little ominous to me. That could be just me, but the building also the same. It feels a little bit on the ominous side. It's a beautiful photograph with that brilliant white light in those dark shadows. But again, about, kind of this, not so much light at the end of the tunnel, but, is there light? Is there hope? Is there, something bright we can look at that, in the future, is what this kind of made me think of. I really think a lot. I bet that prints beautifully.
It really does look nice.
And again, this is just a really beautiful abstract. It says pond ice. I wasn't sure at the time what it was, but I thought it was just a really visually beautiful abstract.
And then the windows.
It's kind of fun asymmetry and asymmetry in a symmetrical world. It was just something that I thought was really visually fun to look at.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right. And Chris Masten, I believe Chris is joining us. She has this one image in here.
This is the one image throughout the whole thing that, you know, I was saying I kind of didn't choose a lot of things, flowers or plants or animals for this because of the Strange Times theme. But I did like this because out of everything, this was like the happiest image that was in there. And it was really something that was bright and colorful and felt like a little hopeful and optimistic. So, you know, that was my thinking on this one.
Very cool. Thanks. Thanks, Barb and Chris. All right. Let's see. Oh, wrong way. Here we go. And Chris Swafford, he had joined us before, but under another name. So if you don't have your name as your title for your Zoom name, it's really hard for us to find you guys. So we do recommend changing your name on screen so we can find you, because if it's something else, it's really difficult. But Chris had a few images in the exhibition as well, and I don't think he's here. If he is, you know, type in the chat so we know who you are.
You know, all of Chris's images, that was that other light at the end of the tunnel, or light in the tunnel image. They all have this kind of sense of isolation. The first one is very evocative of that Twin Towers falling man picture to me. But it also has that sense about, you know, being closed off, being at home, being isolated, being alone, which I know a lot of people are. And I thought, I love the way this was composed. The negative space around the person is really powerful, and it structurally really makes you feel how small a lot of people feel right now behind very big bars. So it was a very powerful image.
Yep. And then we have the pool.
You know, it's a beautifully symmetrical pool picture, but you know, there's no joy there. There's no person there enjoying this moment. It's a beautiful photograph, but it's devoid of joy, which is very much about our time. And again, that sense of, you know, being in a tunnel and there being some light up against the wall, you know.
Sorry, I'm
Okay.
Stop.
You can go to the next one. Just again, that sense of isolation. This is not unlike that other picture thematically, where you've got this one person against some kind of structure that is very isolated. The negative space, it really draws the eye to that person. The painted, the bricks that aren't painted, like the door is not open to get out of whatever the situation is. So even though he's presumably outside, you still feel very trapped in this scenario. Like, where do you go? So it asks, I think, a lot of questions. I think all four of these were really strong images.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and this is his also. So one more. He had 5.
You know, again, just, you know, that sense of where do you go? This could be side by side with the one in the tunnel, where there's some, you know, some sense of light, some sense of something else, some sense of maybe there's escape. into the lighter area. You know, isolation with some little bit of hope, hopefully. You can just get out of that scary basement or whatever it is, parking garage.
It's very odd.
Here's to light and hope.
Yeah. And then we have Colin Potts, and Colin is here. So Colin has joined us. All right, and he has, I think, 2 images. Yep, this one and this one.
So, you know, at the time that we were doing this, looking at these images initially, you know, I think people, maybe we were a little bit more in isolation than people are now, but that sense of being alone out in the world, of having your mask on and being surrounded by emptiness, the isolation, that's what this made me feel. The fact that in the photograph, the girl is isolated in some light, and the light is really making that mask pop, makes this feel like a stronger image, because you really, you know, everything draws your eye to that mask. And so I think it's really illustrates being alone in a time of isolation. The same kind of feeling. Colin, do you have something that you would like to add or say about these images?
Well, these are a departure for me, because I usually do fairly descriptive documentary kind of work, and as soon as the pandemic started, I thought, you know, I have to get out on the streets and do something different. And there's something kind of film noir but in color about everything. And so I mean, technically I started working differently with a longer lens and you know, very narrow depth of field and different kind of treatment of color. And I just wanted to capture sort of the enigmatic, I don't know, the fact that we were all kind of in doubt. These were both taken in May, and pretty typical of what I've been doing actually since March up to the present, because I just think that we're in an extraordinary period, and it's all about questions and not really about statements. I don't know.
Exactly. I consult my 8-ball now if I want to make any decisions. Kudos to you, though, for pushing past, you know, the way that you usually do things and trying, you know, something new to reflect the times that you're shooting in. And I do definitely love this. This one definitely has a kind of cinematic film noir quality to it. Both of them are really strong. So it'll be interesting to see what body of work you amass from, you know, shooting more.
Okay, thanks.
Nice. Thanks for joining us, Colin. Oops. Here we are. Wait. Yes. And now we have Miss Corinne Adams, who is also here. Yep, Corinne is here as well. And we have 2 images from 2 images from Corinne.
Yeah, I think there are 3.
3, yes. Sorry. I was like, this is just so different from the other 2. I keep getting confused that it's yours.
I didn't prepare for video tonight, obviously. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I love strangeness. I love strange moments. So, you know, I spent a lot of time on the beach this summer, and I think all campsites on the beach are anthropomorphic. They're all aliens. So that's that.
Well, I love that figure. There's so many different ways to look at it and draw different conclusions, but I think it's really interesting. It's kind of clown-like. It's also kind of reminds me of a female body with,
yeah, definitely,
whatever arm with a big heart.
It makes me laugh.
There's a lot of humor. The plane one I thought was kind of, that one really was fun. That whole notion of a bird on a wire. This is really 2 birds on a wire. And I was like, how in the world did you,
yeah.
bird with the plane like right there, right then. I thought that that was really, really fun.
Well, obviously I was close to the bird and I saw the plane coming. So I waited until I could get that juxtaposition because I knew it was going to happen.
Only you. Corinne,
And I like it that the bird is so much bigger than the plane, you know,
Yeah, I
that
love
throws
it.
you off. Yeah.
love it. And I love the eccentricity and the delight that your work always makes me a fan of what you do, as you know. The next image too was really delightful and humorous. So thank you for bringing humor into our dark times.
That's fantastic. Great. Thanks, Corinne.
Thanks.
And then we have Deborah Monroy. She is here with us, but she did not reply to my did she want to chat. But if you have any questions for her, Barb, we can definitely turn her mic on. But she is here.
Yeah, I just really love these. There's a couple of them. I love it feels like, infrared. It reminded me of, I'm sure everybody's had their head measured by some machine right now to see what your temperature is. But this idea of that we're living at a time where the virus is all around us and we're in a room with some thermonuclear heat. I just thought it was kind of cool and sci-fi and a little bit about our strange modern world. Do you want to say something about your work? I feel like you have to, but
I don't know where she is.
Okay.
There she is. There you are, Deborah. So if you
Okay.
want to say a few words.
Sure. Yeah, I appreciate your looking at these pictures. I work at the Woodruff Art Center, and I think it was the second Sunday in March, we had an event where there were like 4,000 people everywhere at the art center, and then 5 days later, the entire complex shut down, and it was just devastating. And it was months, I think, before I took photos of the galleries or anywhere at the museum, but I took these photos on a day when it was a historic day when the cookie bar at Whole Foods Market reopened. And that was very, very inspiring to me. There's an elaborate protocol. You have to use hand sanitizer. You have to put plastic gloves on in order to access the cookie bar, but I was so inspired. And I went down to graphics to tell my friend that this wonderful event at the cookie bar is now available again. And on the way back out through the galleries, I thought, wow, I could take some pictures down here.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
well,
Great.
it's really interesting that sense of being closed off, yet that heat sensor feeling that something is still creating heat and energy in the vacant space is really kind of haunting. So I think these are really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Deborah.
Judy, just checking, how are we doing for time? Because these are really fun.
Speed up a little bit. So we're only on the E's, and I don't know what number slide this is. This is Eddie. Eddie is from Belgium, and he has not joined us.
Yeah, I think this is a really great social distancing image. It's very graphic and fun.
Yeah, that was very cool. And then Elena, I don't think she has joined. She may have joined us. She did join us. She didn't respond to me, but she has joined us. So maybe you just want to say something about this. She has a few images in the exhibition. She has 4. So, and Elena is from Boston. So we do have some people from a variety of locations.
Right, that's really great. The first 2 images, I think it's very clear. It's that feeling of family, but being cut off from the world, being behind bars. And then the third image with the windows, I thought was really, really beautiful. That thing behind bars. Yeah, being inside, looking out, but being very you know, in this kind of bar-like situation, there's light coming in, but, you know, are you kind of trapped?
Yep. Okay. So they really are very beautiful, very nicely done, Elena, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. And then we have Ellen Mertens. And she has two images.
Yeah, it's interesting. I thought this was really beautiful. This isolated parking lot, the symmetry of it, just the one living thing is that tree. And then this image, you know, clearly is something that feels like it's inside, and that kind of search of sort of identity of who we are, you know, what's going on. It just had that kind of dreamy, kind of disturbing feeling to it. I thought it was really kind of well done. The hand, you know, it's kind of really beautiful. But again, just, you know, being in a shadow world.
Yeah. And there's that one. Yep. Okay. Thanks, Ellen, for being with us. And we have this one image from Gail Mitchell.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh. Just, I always love these pictures that are sort of like, you know, a time that's gone by that has this vegetation covering over it, that things are in the past, that life kind of keeps going. And I thought this was kind of, the light on it was really beautiful. And these kind of shrouded, is it anamorphic kind of figures represented by what, I don't know if those are columns or, you know, pillars or what they are, but I thought it was really beautifully done.
Very nice. Thanks, Gail. It was lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. And then we have John Howe. John has several images in here, and they're all quite different from this kind of self-portrait. And then these, which are really very, you know, kind of similar to the very first three we saw, or not similar, but have that same feel to them.
I really responded to that portrait, John, just the idea of, you know, looking for answers or looking to the stars, or, you know, where do we fit into a bigger, vaster kind of universe? You know, we feel like we're a grain of sand, but the universe is made up of grains of sand. That's what this made me think about, where we're, as unimportant as we are, an essential part of everything. And I just thought this was a lovely, lovely visual to kind of represent that. I loved the dark on the right side. It was just the right amount of stardust, if that's what it is. And then the other graphic image is very similar to what Anna had, in that it, you know, for me, it represented this time of confusion and technology. This made me think of microchips, or, you know, the technology that we are affected by daily. I also thought it was just really, really pretty, kaleidoscopic and beautiful.
Nicely done, John, and very different from what I normally see, and that very different from what I normally see from you. And I think that's something that probably Barb hasn't really seen, is I'm getting familiar with the style from all of the artists and really seeing some different kinds of work in this exhibition, which is fun. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, and then Karen, Joe Dreher. So Joe is not with us, but that's really interesting. Wow. What a collection.
Yeah, street photography now is very interesting. You know, nobody's on the street, and this collection of technological debris is
Wow.
a little overwhelming.
Yeah. All right. And then we have Karen Sokol, and Karen has two images. This one and then this one. And Karen, I think, is with us.
Yeah, trying to put things back together again. I thought that was an interesting way to show that concept, and life definitely feels like a puzzle right now. Mine would probably have at least one, possibly two pieces missing. But I thought that was a really nice approach to that concept. It looks really great. The other image, the flowers, is just absolutely a beautiful image. I love how creamy and beautiful the light is on those flowers and the texture of it. Really, really lovely.
Yeah. Very nice, Karen. Thank you. And then we have Carrie Walter, who has a few images, all different kinds of animals here. So, and Carrie was with us. I think she's still here. Yep, she's still here. Mm-hmm. So I'll show you all of those if you want to say something about.
Yeah, Carrie, I think I've seen some of these. I recognize them. From, I don't know where you exhibited them, but I recognize this one, maybe even this one. I have a friend who loves animals that are black and white photographs of white animals, so I'm always on the lookout for them. I thought these were really beautiful. I loved how these look like, you know, almost like formal period portraits, the swan and I think the deer, and that one feels like it's from the Museum of Natural History. I don't know if it's a real living animal or what, but I thought these were really beautiful, beautiful portraits.
Thank you.
In motion, so I don't know how you photograph that, but I think it's lovely. And this, it's just really beautiful. The depth of field in that and the detail on the deer's face is so pretty. So how are you photographing these animals?
Well, they are real living animals that actually travel around the United States. This was actually taken in London. So I have been traveling a little bit in Europe and looking for specific exotic animals. And so I spend time with them one-on-one, and I am compositing them, a majority of them, with shooting 4x5 ortho film, photographing kudzu. So I'm offsetting kind of this atmosphere of the South with these exotic animals. So the deer that you see here was actually taken in Texas, and I travel there every year to photograph this deer. He's 2 years old now, and he'll be 3. So hopefully with COVID, I can go back and visit him because he's really quite beautiful.
All of them are, and it's interesting to hear how you're doing that. And that was going to be my next question: was if were you shooting these with a large format camera, because they definitely have that feeling, except for that one. But they definitely have that feeling, and it feels almost like period portraiture. So, you know, there's this sense of age to them that I really enjoy. I think these are quite lovely.
Well, I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Welcome.
Great, thanks, Carrie. Okay, I always love your, and I think somebody said in here, like your, oh God, just the soulfulness of the images. So yeah, and I agree. So they're just really beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we have Kira Saunders, and I don't think she has joined us that I know of.
I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah.
You didn't reply to me, so that's why I didn't know.
Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. Okay. And she has 4 images here.
These are, I was very, very charmed by these. I thought they were very, very dear. And, you know, I'm guessing these are cyanotypes.
Mm-hmm.
I like the simplicity of them, and they felt like there was a lot of heart in each one of them. What is your thinking about these, and what led you to create them and use this means for realizing it?
So I was actually finishing my last semester of college when all of this happened, and I was going to school for photography, and my college shut down and I didn't have access to the cameras or anything anymore. So I wanted to find a method of still making work that was like something I could do at home, you know, while in isolation. And a lot of the content in these is just about all the emotions I was feeling at the time and like how suddenly everything happened. Yeah.
I think this one is my favorite one. The nothing is missing, nothing is wrong. It's almost like trying to convince yourself or ourselves, you know, that that's true.
Yeah, it definitely became kind of like a sarcastic like mantra almost of just being like, you know, nothing is missing, nothing is wrong, just trying to convince yourself that everything's okay.
If I make this photograph, it'll be true. But at the same time, there's this kind of, you know, this sky and airy feeling to this. This could have been, you know, written in the clouds, and it's something that feels very fleeting. So I think the power of the message in these is because it's of the simplicity of them. And, you know, and I really felt that they were very charming. So good work.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Kira. And then we have a few images, I believe, from Laura Inman. Okay, very different.
This image, I love it. You know, it spoke to that of where do we go? You know, being in an isolated space, not being able to get out. This, even if there's no windows and no way out, and then, you know, these misleading signs, and I thought that was a very powerful image with our times. The other one just felt like strength and solidarity, and, you know, especially if you are going through this period of isolation alone, just that notion of, I can't remember what it says on the hands. Is it true? But just that it just felt like it was something that was strong. At a time we need to be strong. I kind of like that.
Great. Yeah, and I love what they look like. And Laura's been doing a project on parking decks, which is one of my favorite things to photograph. They're so strange, but I really have loved seeing her images. Thanks for joining us, Laura. I think you're here somewhere. Okay. And then we have a few from Lawrence Russ, and he didn't tell me he was going to be here, and I'm not seeing names on the list, so I'm not sure.
These are so interesting. You know, there's that sense of isolation, but there's this very sense of being watched over that's in all of them, that has this, you know, that we're being observed, that was very, yeah, the tree of, what is it? I'm keeping, what's the title, Judy? It's so tiny on my screen, I can't read.
Which one? The Tree of Unsleeping Surveillance.
Yeah. This feeling of, definitely Big Brother is watching us, and it's in both of those images. And I think there's another one.
Oh yes, and then there's this one, Waiting for His Guests.
Yeah. The robot overlord, you know, waiting. I don't know if it's guests or victims, but all three of those definitely have that surveillance, being watched over, this a lot of technology kind of that we're all caught up in and observed by. So I thought these were really interesting and fun.
Very cool.
And horrifying slightly.
Yes. And Les Schmidt, I'm not sure Leslie is with us, but
I mean,
A Distant Ronald.
This image of the masked Ronald says so much. I don't know that we have to go into the depth of that, but it's a fairly simple image. I probably would have cracked up laughing when I was putting the mask on, but it's sort of the perfect symbolism of, you know, some aspects of American life today.
Yep.
And the fact that too, that was probably created to be a photo op where kids are supposed to go and sit under his arms. That makes it completely strange and surreal as well.
Very surreal. And then we have two from Leslie Price.
Hi, Judy.
Hi, Leslie.
I can't see myself, but does that matter?
No, not at all.
Okay. So I enjoy looking at the floor or what people don't see. They walk like the manager of this Starbucks, he made the signs all the way along the floor, which way to walk. And I found that just interesting.
Interesting and very confusing. You know, there's a lot of how to walk, but not where to go. So,
but yes, but a lot of, if you look down, how many different signs there are for people, you know, where they should walk, where they shouldn't walk, or little notes telling them things that we would never have worried about before, you know. And so that's what and then these are from Trader Joe's. People were just standing on them and I was going, wow, these are so cute. And apparently one of the managers or somebody who worked in the store did those. He painted them on the floor.
Well, they're humorously observed. Were people actually following them at all, or even?
Yes, they were standing 6 feet or 12 feet back from the counter, but they were at the counter. Each one was at a different counter where people pay for their stuff. And so, you know, but nobody took any notice of them. And I just thought, that's what I like photographing. I enjoy looking at things that people don't notice.
Well, there's a lot of absurdity to observe, and I'm glad that you are finding some of it for us. Those are a lot of fun.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks, Judy.
I apologize for the cat invasion here.
It's okay.
It's her world, not mine.
Keep it stopping.
And then we have this one from Lisa Hill. She is here. Okay.
Lisa, what were your thoughts when you were submitting this?
Stop it.
Well, it was just a simple event that lasted seconds, but it was so powerful. I mean, I felt so charged that day that I was literally standing on my sidewalk in front of my house and took that photo. I live very close to Emory University, so they were flying over Emory Hospital. And I'd set a chair up out in the front yard, and they came so fast I missed them. I mean, I saw them going over my head, and then they did a big turn right there. And just as they were turning, they let out the trails of smoke behind them, and it just, I mean, it sent chills up and down my spine. It was just such a powerful, meaningful, but yet simple act of recognizing how important the frontline workers were.
You know, it's interesting because now I'm seeing the title and you're telling me what the event is, but I think when I saw that, it was more, it felt vaguely threatening without having the context for it. So
yeah, these are the Blue Angels. They went all over the US, and they had select times on different days that they were doing a flyover, and they would fly over all the hospitals in a major, I think they just went over major cities. And this was the second or third city that day on the East Coast. And the Thunderbirds were also part of it.
Well, context in this case definitely mattered because, you know, the feeling I had for this was definitely not what, the context of how you're talking about or when you shot it. So captions do matter, folks. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And by seeing that and realizing that Barb only got numbers when she got these, and I need to figure out a way to include at least the titles with the works when the jurors are getting them, when they're only getting numbers. So yeah, so I'll work on that for the next time, because I think a few of them that would have helped.
Well, it's also interesting to me that it makes me question myself. It's like, why do I see everything as a threat nowadays?
And then we have two from Mark Jordan.
Mm-hmm. I thought these were lovely. Just a nice break from some of the heavier images, and that, while things are confusing, and that there are still things that are positive, good, images. I also felt like these had a little bit of a dreamy quality that I really enjoyed.
And then, all right, oops. Marla Puzis has this one, another swimming pool and some lily pads.
This kind of spoke to me about the decay that's around us, that sense of isolation, not being able to go out and enjoy things that we previously enjoyed, and things kind of, I don't know if the kind of, not debris, but just things going unused because we are not in a position to use them. And I thought it was a nice image too.
Yeah. Wonderful. All right, and then we have, I think Mary Farmer has a few images, but she is not with us. Yes, these are three from Mary Farmer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just more signs of our time, being kept away from people. I always love bathroom images because the light's always so strong. This one, that idea of the social distancing, but also the idea that there are fenced-in areas where, there might be something better that we are not able to get to, that we're excluded from areas or kept away from other people. Also a good metaphor for our time. Space, but don't get close.
Mm-hmm. And then a couple from Michelle, who was going to join us but did not make it. She had something come up.
I think this was all happening right. We were looking at these images right when the protests and everything started, and I had expected to probably see more images from that, but I think these were some of the early ones, and I thought these were really strong images.
Yeah. Very cool. All right. So I'm just like keeping track here of where we are with people. And then Nathan Dean is with us, and he had several images in the exhibition. I'm going to say 3, maybe 4. Okay.
I love skulls. I love this, the skull face and the skull with the mask face. It's really a fun screen picture, Nathan. The pool one was very, very strong. I love the graphic sensibility. But again, that whole, don't cross the red line, stay apart. This is a recurring theme throughout all this work, throughout the last 6 months.
Well, the sense of confinement is the main thing that suppressed me during all of this. And 3 of these 4 are about that, of being confined and trying to get out. The other one, I had the picture of the girl with the skull, and I just couldn't resist photoshopping a mask onto it.
Oh, I thought it was a real moment. Well, it was a good instinct, Nathan. What about this image with the hand and reaching out?
That one I made in New Orleans, in the place where they store all the Mardi Gras floats. And it was actually a hand on a float, and it was sticking up, and it was behind another float. And so it's nothing at all like what appears to be. It just was an image that caught my eye, so I shot it.
Okay. And what was your thinking when you thought, well, this is something I should submit to Strange Times? How did that evoke that for you?
Because it's somebody trying to get out. And I would love to get out, you know. I like to travel, and I haven't been able to travel. I'm stuck at home. I'm sort of like Carolyn said, except I don't have a backyard because I'm on the 3rd floor. I can't go anywhere. I'd like to get out. Please help me get out.
Well, it's also that feeling for reaching for light out of darkness. You know? Yeah. Again, this is a really interesting thing of, you know, what this photograph was shot for versus the story it can tell in another situation. So I think that's a really, really cool image.
Yep.
Yeah, I knew when I shot this that it was going to be a picture that was not at all like what it really was.
I love this going down, up or downstairs. The light in that's really lovely. And again, that whole trying to go to somewhere towards something that's light is also something that, you know, has been a theme throughout a lot of the work that we looked at tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Nathan.
Thank you.
Very nice. Thanks, Nathan, for joining us. And then we have Nick Prince has 2 images included, and Nick is here. Yep, he's here.
Hi, Nick. Let's see the other one, Judy. Yeah, I loved this. I loved how surreal and fantastical these were. You know, there's a lot of ways you can interpret that, given our current situation, but that sort of feeling of uncertainty, I think that a feeling of a little bit of dread. I don't know. That's, you know, I love sci-fi fantasy, so I was really connected.
Barb, your sound is breaking up, so I'm wondering if you turn your video off, if your sound will get better. Let me see if I can do that. Stop video. Let's try that. Speak now.
Is that better?
Yeah, that actually is, I think.
Okay, good.
All right.
I really enjoyed them. Do you want to talk about them and what was your thinking of entering these?
Well, a child like mine, as you know, I take images of geological phenomena, and things come to me with the combination of the phenomena and the light. And having the sad adult face and then finding the child's face within the adult face was something that was really meaningful to me in terms of the contemplation and how, and during this period of time, our child is trapped within us because we're physically trapped within our environment.
And this also felt like, you know, kind of fearful, sad and lost. This one felt very wistful to me. The other one is a little more mesmerizing, but there's a fantastical quality to both of these that I was really, really drawn to.
Thank you. This particular image, again, you know, nothing has been done to it in terms of anything being placed or copied in or created inside the image. And when I saw it, I was quite taken aback But the thing is for me, it's which way is the image transitioning? Is it transitioning away from human, or is it transitioning to more human? And I think that that's the enigmatic part for me that keeps me looking at it more and more often.
That's sort of a glass half full scenario.
Hey, Barb, can you maybe get a little closer to your computer? I'm not sure. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Is that any better?
That is a whole lot better.
Okay, probably you see more of my face though, so I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. I turned your video off.
I'll get really close in. But you know, it feels like it's something that's emerging because it feels like it's coming into light. So that's how it looked to me. So you know, I really liked it. It felt hopeful. So really interesting, especially knowing where your images, how you approach your work. I think it's cool to kind of see these human personifications coming out of your theological images.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. All right, and then we have, let's see, what do we got? We have oh, why does this have Nick's name on it? That's strange. Okay. All right, these are from Nina Camerata, and somehow I put the wrong caption on it, but I'll fix that at some point. And Nina is not with us, but these are very interesting.
Yeah, I thought these were intriguing images. I was really hoping you should be here because I would love to hear much more about them. But it's sort of a mixed media pieces using photographs and drawings, and it looks like ink blots or dots. So I thought these are really fascinating images. They'd be fun to see actually in the gallery where you can really get up close to them and take all of them in. I would have loved to have heard Nina talk a little bit more about her thinking of these, but I thought it was they were really well done.
Yeah. Oops. Scrolling a little too fast with my mouse, but yes, they are very interesting. They are reproduction prints in the gallery, but I think the original. I'm not sure if the original is a collage, or if she scanned the torn paper and then digitally collaged it. But I'm with you, Barb. I would love to hear more about this.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Really cool. Okay. I like that it feels, you know, however she did it, it has a very tactile feeling to it. Mm-hmm. We don't always see nowadays, and it has a, you know, handcrafted feel to it. So that was another reason I kind of enjoyed it. I mean, we're so used to seeing things that are so digitally created, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I think this approach, it, you know, feels much more organic and, you know, stream of consciousness in a way that is more put together in a more analog manner. So, you know, it'd be fun to see the actual originals.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm gonna have to give her grief. She was my intern and I can't believe she's not here. All right, and then we have Patrick Caffrey. And yes, Pat is here. I think he has 2 images in the exhibition. And we're doing okay. We only have a few more left.
All right. So, you know, I started, actually, I think there's 3. And
oh, it is 3, yes.
It is 3, and I started early this year in April, because, you know, I kept hearing people talk about normal and when things will get back to normal, and I wanted to document the abnormal, what is, you know, the weird changes that we are seeing. So, for instance, this one up here, a local restaurant here in Roswell, and, you know, can you imagine this sign 6 months ago, or, well, earlier, you know, back January or December, you know, no customers inside. And, you know, the whole, it's not artistic or anything, it's just a statement that, you know, I try to, you know, these are documentary. And it says customer centricity. They're caring for themselves, they're caring for their customers by not letting them inside. And then the other one about, there's one about the masks in Little Five. And I love what people are doing in terms of from the business opportunities, which this is and how this whole, how the shop front was taken up with all these masks and how masks have become a designer thing and how much this, you know, we've gone into this abnormal period. And I don't know that we'll ever get back to what we defined as normal before, but I want to capture this. I've got a whole bunch of other ones that I got. And then the third one, it was taken up in Philly in June. No, this one here. I saw these guys at a falafel stand, started talking to them, and the guy there with the Phillies hat and the mask, he insisted on giving me one of his masks. And I just thought it just captured a whole lot about what's going on now. You know, the immigration, the debate about immigration, the American flag, the masks. So again, it's just part of that documenting the weird and wonderful things. Weird and, you know, I shouldn't say wonderful because a lot of them are not very wonderful, but what's going on, you know, because at some point in time, I'd like to be able to show these to people and say, yeah, these are the times we live through.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely speaks to, you know, people's resilience, trying to adjust to a strange time, people's need to survive a strange time by figuring out, you know, other ways to do things and how to take advantage of whatever the situation that we have is now. So I think, you know, as a document, it's important for people to do what you're doing and kind of show this is what this time does look like. This is the lengths that people are going to continue to serve people within the constraints that we're under. So, you know, good for you. That's awesome.
Great, thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
And then we have Peter's, and Peter has not joined us, but he has two images in the exhibition, this one and this one.
This one is so humorous to me. I just thought that was sort of wonderful. Sunman C, I think.
Yeah.
Just, you know, nothing's different except the mask. Everything's exactly the same. So I thought that was really humorous. I like how visually, I thought this was an intriguing image, very absurd. The other one is again, going back to what I was saying at the first of this about that people's interpretation of the end times. This is titled Armageddon. And, you know, this kind of apocalyptic thing that is going on now that's in people's psyche. This is the perfect kind of representation of that.
Yep, cool. All right, and then we have Reese, who is not with us, but these are original cyanotypes. So he put the original cyanotypes in the gallery, so.
Yeah, how many are there?
Just these two.
Yeah, again, I just felt like these were very dreamy and lovely. This one is, what is it called? Something.
Stingley's Tongue.
They're just very surreal, and, you know, I just very thought they were pleasing images.
Yeah.
Kind of dream. There's a lot of dream-like. This is a take on, I believe, a Lartigue photograph. And as far as strange times, is Robert here? Am I right?
Robert is here. Yep, Robert's here.
It's a Lartigue photograph, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and as this is as surreal today as it was when Lartigue photographed it. Is this your homage to Lartigue?
Yes, yes, it is.
Well done. It's really. Yeah. If anybody doesn't know that photograph, it's worth looking up.
I loved it and how just odd it was. And I've used this as kind of one of our signature images for the show because it's just so interesting.
Yeah, it's as strange now as it was, what was it, back in the 20s probably?
Yeah.
Yeah, 1911.
Yeah.
1911, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very cool. Robert, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
And then we have Rosemary, and Rosemary was with us earlier. Is she still here? Yep, Rosemary is still here. Okay. And Rosemary has a few images. Let me see how many. I want to say there might be 4.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, these were really great. Rosemary, do you want to talk about your images a little bit? Tell us what your thoughts were and what you've been doing with this work.
I'm here in Santa Monica, and like Pat, I wanted to document this time that we're in. This particular image is one of my favorites, and it's actually a second iteration. It was painted just as we went into lockdown here in California back in March. And then in early June, we had Black Lives Matter protests and some rioting. And she came back. This is a piece by Corey Matty. And she came back and she painted the right arm black. And I just thought that was so powerful, a message. And what I was trying to capture is the creativity that I've seen and heard from people as they've gone through this time of isolation. And that maybe we'll come out with more powerful ideas, not only for ourselves and our artwork, but for society as a whole.
Documenting this work is really important. And this is very strong. The way you composed it is really perfect. It's interesting too, that after the plague and take the Renaissance, but with the wasteland and that hand in the, looks like a street sign, the hand up. And we're on pause right now in that center wasteland area between these two things. Still feels like it's really, really true. But this is a really cool photograph.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. And just the humor. Every day I would go for a walk in the late afternoon, and a lot of street art has been developed through COVID here. You see kids playing hopscotch, people going back to things we used to do as kids. But this one really just spoke to me that time is completely different during COVID. And I like the humor.
Mm-hmm. And it's the whimsical chalk color about something that's very serious. It reminds me, somebody said, what day is today? And somebody said it's Blur's Day. This notion that every day is a blur now, that there's no defined days, and that's really symbolizes that. This is also surprising and kind of lovely image, and the notion of a different context, what love means, when generally love means being close to someone.
Exactly.
And I think you could say this all over the place, but having this as an image, really makes you stop and think about that. What does love mean in a time of a pandemic when you're cut off from everybody that you know and love? So, really, some lovely observations. This is also, to me, speaks to, again, that how are people adjusting to life in with a new normal? And I thought, it's something that we have to do. How do you make it work? And this was a really good visual of people actually making it work. So really cool. Nicely framed too, by the way.
Thank you.
Nicely done, Rosemary. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's been fun being here.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we have this image from Shama.
Yeah, I love that. This sort of surreal, picturesque idea of this, the Venetian voyage. Where is that at?
This is at Las Vegas. It was just before the COVID. I was visiting my sister-in-law, and it's just 1 week before. And I just got chance to take this picture. And then after, when we came back, and suddenly everything is locked down, and the humor started that there was a strange thing going on, and people were start being scared, and they were not visiting, as it was a very, every time it was very busy place. But so that is the time I got chance to take this picture.
It's so interesting that having a miniature Venice in the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. There's so many levels of surrealism to that concept. And then to see what's probably generally before COVID was probably packed with people to be absolutely empty.
Yeah.
Is, adds a whole nother, weight to it. This very fake world during this very real and strange time.
Thank you so much.
Great, thanks, Shama. And we just have a few more people left. So we have Sharon, sorry, excuse me.
I thought this was really lovely, that notion of time passing. It was really beautifully lit, and I love the color palette of this. And it again, like the other image we had about time slowing down, this has that kind of feeling of time is happening, but it is definitely, it is a blur and very strange. But I think it's kind of a beautiful, beautiful image.
Very nicely done, Sharon.
Thank you very much. Can I say something about it?
Sure.
Okay, this was taken on a staycation in Atlantic Station during the middle of the pandemic. And what really was occurring, I have a fetish when it comes to time, especially, I can't think, but I love these bottles, and I wanted it to look cool. I toned it down in blues because it actually was like 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a bright, sunshiny day. And in that hotel, they had these bottles everywhere. So I took one, set it on the ledge of the balcony, and I took the overcast from the balcony above me to get a little shading in there. So, watching time go by, it's just amazing. All those little sands, all those little sands.
Yeah, it's dreamy. And you did a really good job setting that up and working with the light that you had there. So, well done.
Yep, very nicely done, Sharon. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Okay, and then we have a few from Stephen Weiss. Whoops, I skipped one. Who Stephen said he was going to join us. I'm sorry, my mouse isn't working. So
how many from Stephen?
We have 2 from Stephen. And Stephen, are you here? I don't think he is here. Shama, can you mute your, yeah, there you go. Okay.
The color palette of that first one is so beautiful. And the fact that just capturing that, and that something that the eye just doesn't ever see, is such a strange thing in and of itself. That's what happens when a drop of something, hits something, and there's a reaction that happens, and it's really quite beautiful. So, seeing something that the eye doesn't see is strange in and of itself. The second image is very strange and a little, a little ghosty and scary, I guess, but it also has that feeling of, being veiled and being,
Yeah.
isolated, hidden, kept away. It's a powerful, scary, a little scary touch. It could come from stranger things as well as strange times, but it's really interesting.
And Sue Sharif and yes, there you are. Okay, so we got this one. Nice to meet you.
Well, the play on words is funny, and the nice to meet you, with a mask on is just, a little absurdity, of the world that we live in that requires us to be masked all the time. And then the whole nice to meet you is just a fun little image, I thought.
Yeah. And Sue Sharif is here. I'm not sure if I'm saying that name
Yes,
right.
ma'am. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, as Barbara said, yeah, she was absolutely right. The purpose of capturing this image is I just want to showcase the present time in a single frame, but I want to show it in a very humorous way. As the man passing by the wall, behind him there is a good. I felt that statement gave some humor to the whole picture.
Yep.
So that's the reason I just came up with the title Corona Humor, and I absolutely feel that it justifies the image.
Yep.
I also, as an art director, just looking at how they decided, the store decided to set that type. So bizarre to me, but it gave you a perfect place to center that person's head. But the fact they centered two off of you and left that big space is really, it's really so weird.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy as a designer, because that is just so bad.
It helped really make your picture just to the absurdity of it. What was your thinking and this being a black and white image as opposed to shooting it as a color image with the idea of humor? Does the black and white makes it a little heavier? And I'm not saying do one or the other. I'm just want to hear what your thinking was.
Oh, you're absolutely right, ma'am. But I just came up with as I want the statement in the black tone. So the man wearing the shirt in a horizontal black and white. So I felt that it creates the contrast. I mean, significantly, it can have an underlying theme. The contrast between the black and whites also suggests the contrast in the overall picture. As I told you before, the corona and the humor. So I mean, both are different, right? Like both cannot fit in one box. So I felt that maybe this could work out. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, maybe I can compose this in color too. Yeah.
I don't know, it'd be worth looking at. I mean, I think it's pretty great the way it is, obviously. And I was just, wanting to think if you wanted to play up the humor more. I don't know what the color situation was, but it's very interesting, and the absurdity comes through loud and clear. So, really good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
And
thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
We have two more. That's it. So we're almost done. And we have Todd Suttles has several images in here, and Todd is here, Todd is here with us. So Todd is here.
I'm here.
You are here, so.
Yeah, run through them, Judy. Yeah, I love that, Todd, really cool.
Yeah, Todd has three. This one, which is, I didn't notice this at first until I looked in closer, and then I was like, oh my God, what is going on here?
The upside down deer.
Yep.
Yeah, the clown, the creepy clown picture is my favorite. You know, it's so odd and slightly disturbing, and I like that it's a little off kilter. It just adds to the absurdity of it. These were interesting, Todd. What's your overarching thinking about these images, and what are you?
Okay. Well, first of all, I've really enjoyed hearing what everybody said. This has been a great format, and these are from a collection that I always like weird and strange. I don't necessarily, it's not just because of COVID. I've always gravitated toward that. And these are from a collection that I call Evidence of Personality and Identity. One of the things I like to do is with my camera is kind of go out and play like a crime scene detective and look for expressions of personality or identity, and then create an image that will capture that and prompt the person that observes it and sees what this other person has created to then write their own story onto it and then question that. And I've been working on this for a long time, and it's really great when I can add humor to it. Sometimes it's not, some things are strange and not humorous, but of these three here I thought were very, this one's borderline. It's kind of on the macabre, but it definitely jolts me and make me wonder
It's deceptive.
why this person did this and what they're trying to say. And then the next question is, what do I think of it?
Well, it's deceptively normal looking until you look a little bit closer, you know, which then brings in that whole, what is it you said? Something, deception and
Evidence of personality and identity, kind of like a crime scene detective.
That is like the best title ever. I love that title. It'd be amazing to see a book of these.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's a byproduct of a portfolio workshop with Miss Beth Lilly last year. So kudos to her for helping me work that out.
yeah, it's really great. I love that sort of, you know, the idea, the evidence of somebody being there without them being there is really a fascinating idea. This is very cool, and these were fun images to look at.
I have to say, Todd, I love the sense of oddity and humor in some of your images, and I really do think you need to organize them into a collection and in a book, because you have found some really interesting scenes and captured some really interesting things.
Yeah, and that title is just,
yeah.
Thank you. I enjoy it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Todd.
This one's my favorite. All right.
Yeah. All right. And last but not least, Tom is here, but he said he didn't want to talk, but we can always coerce him if Barb has questions. So, and he's got, I think, 4 images, and there are our last 4 images.
yeah, this image, I've seen this that one at the critique before, and I just love the woman falling and the man, the feet coming down. That whole suspended, the rock suspended, the person suspended, there's so much tension there. I think these are really interesting, complex images that, you know, give you more questions than they answer, which is so interesting. These are fun to end up on. Go to that pyramid one, Judy. It's so cool. Yeah, I mean, you know, I know, Tom, I believe I asked you to turn it around so we could see if it worked with the pendulum or the point coming down, and it didn't, you know. I just thought this was so interesting because it's so odd, and you're not really sure what's going on in it, and that's what makes it so great. The color palette of it's really pretty too. But these are really all very complex images and really looking at things in a different and interesting way. So I'm so glad you submitted those.
Thank you.
Well, anything you want to say?
He is here to chat. Yay.
I have nothing to add. I'm a shy guy.
great to end on Todd's and yours because they kind of go so nicely together. That just kind of the interesting, creative, and kind of oddness of them, but they're just so well done. I love it.
Overall, there's been so many different ways to approach this theme. I think that was one of the strong points of this as an exhibition, because people looked at the humor in the situations, the nightmare of it, the dreams, the how we're coping, how we feel inside with the isolation of it. It really, I didn't know what to expect when Judy, said, "Hey, do you want to do this strange time thing?" I knew I wanted to, but I didn't know what to expect. But I'm really pleased to see, I was really pleased to see what everybody submitted. And it as a microcosm of our time, and I really commend everybody for entering, and applause and kudos to everybody who did. I think it's a really interesting grouping of work. So, well done.
And I wanted to thank all the photographers for participating. I didn't know what to expect either, and Barb for jurying our show. It was definitely, we have some strange times, and you all did an amazing job of either capturing what's happening now or finding things within your collection of photographs that spoke to the theme as well. But I'm enjoying the photos in the gallery. It really is wonderful to see them. And I hope some of you can stop by and take a look. It's a fun exhibition on site as well.
Does anyone have any questions or any observations about the exhibition or specific images?
Just wanted to thank you, Barbara, for including me in this amazing show, and you have so much thought behind so many of the images, and you can see the depth in them, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you know what, I took this very seriously, and everybody put a lot of thought into creating these images. So the least I could do as the juror is to put some thought into what these images mean, and how they could, what part they would play in the exhibition. So thank you for that.
Well, it's such a strange time. I mean, who would have said a year ago we would be in this position? Nobody, not in your wildest dreams.
For sure, trust me. But here we are, and the most important thing I think is to keep doing what all of you are doing, making and sharing your artwork.
Thank you.
Yes, makes sense.
Thank you, Judy, for all the work you do. You are simply beyond amazing. You are. I don't know.
You are very welcome.
You put up with me. That's a lot.
No, I mean, it's a pleasure. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying connecting with everybody, even virtually. I'm actually even enjoying being in the gallery a few days a week, which is great. And just seeing what everybody's creating and how people are staying, engaged in ways that we can be engaged now, which is really, we're doing some great things in a lot of different ways, and I hope you all are appreciating, what APG is doing, and also staying connected. And I hope to see you in future things we have going on. And please stay in touch. Attend our events. They're easier to attend now. No driving. We don't have to be stuck in traffic. But hopefully at some point we'll be able to be back together and have face-to-face events, but I'm sure we're going to definitely continue with more online events even when we are able to be back face-to-face, because there are people here, like Becky's in Texas, she couldn't join us. And there were a few people from New Jersey and Boston and California who joined us today who really couldn't be at a JurorTalk without, a lot of time and investment in that. So we're happy to be able to provide these things. So Thank you all very much. Please stay in touch, see what else we have going on, and join us. We have probably something happening every week now through the rest of the month. So please join us for our upcoming activities, and great seeing you all. Okay, have a great night.
Thank you.